Good morning, everyone. We're back with Keith Murphy from Essex Mortgage. Good morning, Keith.
Good morning, Kelly. Good morning, everybody.
So it's mid-August 2020, and we have some news for everyone on some new charges and fees that have been instituted by the FHFA. And I'm going to let Keith give you the full explanation on how this is going to impact every American who wants to refinance a mortgage. So go ahead, Keith.
You bet. Well, thank you, Kelly, for this opportunity. And it's striking to me that right now the only way people are finding out about this news is through posts like this and social media, because our media isn't really advertising what has taken place this week. So here's in essence what has happened. The Federal Housing Finance Authority, who is run by Mark Calabria, and he operates autonomously from federal or congressional oversight, announced on Thursday that effective immediately, any new refinance loan, whether it's a cash out refinance or simply a rate term refinance, lowering your rate and payment to better your financial situation, doesn't matter. They basically framed it as, due to economic uncertainty in the financial and housing markets, we're going to start imposing fees on every new transaction effective immediately. And for any files or transactions that are already locked, already in process, but haven't funded and been delivered to the respective agencies, which is Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, FIFA oversees it, that these fees are going to be retroactive, but on the lender's ledger. So it's kind of funny because that's going to affect a lot of banks' balance sheets when they're taking on a half point extra cost to deliver to the government that wasn't built into the margins on the front end. I've never really seen an announcement like this that has immediate impact. You know, they have the authority, and again, they make decisions autonomously. There's no congressional oversight. During the Taxpayer Relief Act of 2011, after the financial crisis, Fannie and Freddie, the government-sponsored agencies, went into receivership, and FIFA oversees them, and they did increase temporarily the delivery fees or insurance or income that they're scraping off the top on all loans. Interesting that that's never been rolled back yet. It was supposed to be temporary, but we're in 2020. And it's never been rolled back. Now, because they said due to economic uncertainty, they're going to impose a half of a point fee to every single borrower that wants to refinance. And I just don't see, getting a little personal here, how taking a half point fee, that's, take your loan amount times 1% and divide it by 2. It's a big chunk of money.
Yeah,
how is taking that money off the top?
Yeah.
How is that going to help the average American? It's going to decrease their equity position in their home. They're still going to refi because everybody wants to go from 4% to 4%, 3.7 down to the 2s. But what's happening is that fee can't be just charged as a line item to the client. It's charged to the bank. So the bank has to raise the interest rate in order to offset or eat that delivery fee. And so immediately across the board, across the nation, you saw interest rates on most loan products go up from 1/8 to 1/4 of a point. And in addition to that, and maybe I should have set up a screenshot, but you could see the mortgage pricing about 2 hours before the announcement start to sell off. And then it has gotten crushed, meaning the bond price has gone down, meaning the interest rates have gone up in light of this news because it scared investors.
Sure.
So it's now having a double whammy effect where rates were raised to offset the fee, and now the bond prices are going down, so rates are going up even higher. And I just don't see how this is going to help, families that are living paycheck to paycheck right now during, work furloughs, hours cut back, etc. I don't see how that's going to benefit them. But there is some good news.
Okay.
And this is just some stuff that I dug up this morning. But I guess there's incredible bipartisan pressure on both sides of the House and Congress because they didn't approve this.
Right.
This was 100% a money grab by the Federal Housing Finance Authority, and there's people calling for Calabria's head, and there very well could be a rollback very soon. I think it's probably the case, and there could be a replacement of him, because again, this is disrupting our whole housing industry at a time when we don't need disruption. We need everything that's wrinkly ironed out and smooth, and they basically took the blanket and just shook everything up overnight. So I think there's some hope. I think this could get rolled back. The positive spin, obviously, Kelly, for your clients and everybody watching, is even with these fees and the bonds getting hit, we're still seeing interest rates in the low 3s, high 2s, and that's still a phenomenal opportunity for somebody who hasn't refinanced yet. And then lastly, this change has not impacted purchase money yet. It's only for refinances. So anybody who's still looking to sell and buy a home, you're not going to have to deal with this at this time. It's only for refinances.
That's fantastic. I'm really glad to hear that. A little bit of a silver lining. And yes, you're right. This is incredible news. The average American has no idea this is happening out there. And it's almost as though, okay, well, we just look at the average price of a home here in the country at, I think it's 239 or 240,000. So now take that 1%, 2,400, and the 0.5% would be 1,200. And guess what? That stimulus check that you got, just send it right back to us. Right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
and Kelly, it goes unnoticed in the media, but if you do a little research, and these numbers are not exact, but Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac owned in receivership by the government. So every dollar and penny that they profit goes to the government coffers, just like our tax revenue does. And in the last quarter, think about this, in the last quarter between Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, that doesn't even include FHA, VA, and USDA profitability. Fannie and Freddie profited about $4 billion, just shy of $4 billion net profit for the quarter. So why?
And where does that money go? Does that go into the general fund?
No, that goes into the working capital fund of the government. It's a for-profit business, and every time they raise these fees, like a gas tax, they're collecting more revenue off of every transaction, and it's pure profit. And so I just look at those numbers and say, well, if in one quarter you almost cleared $4 billion in net profits times 4, that's $16 billion in profits. Did we really need to raise fees by 0.5 of a point due to economic uncertainty?
Yes.
The bottom line is all BS.
Yeah.
And they've made a decision behind closed doors to rape and pillage anybody who's going to go into a refinance transaction and basically take their equity in the form of a 0.5 point of the loan. It's wrong. It needs to stop. It needs to be rolled back. And I think that hopefully it will.
Well, thank you so much for explaining it. We're going to get this right out so that people are hearing about it, and then, they can call their congressman, they can call their senator, and they can continue to put pressure on their representatives in Congress and be able to say, hey, we oppose this, because the American people need to be awakened and aware of it, and they need to speak up and, no more, right?
Absolutely, no more. In fact, Kelly, if you're able to put a link in the video down below, I'll send it to you right now. And the window's closing, but there is a site that's been set up, and it's very simple. Put in your name, your property address, and that with your zip code, it automatically vets out your local House representatives and congressional representatives, and it sends them an email directly. So you put in your message as to why you're against this. It sends them a message, and the more people that can do that, like today, the better chance we have of this thing getting rolled back immediately before more damage is done.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll jump right on that. I know you have a busy day, so do I, and we'll be back giving people more information again next week. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Keith.